At 8:30 this morning, a decision was made that quietly rewrote your day. Not by your boss, not by your family, not by you. Somewhere, a small group of people adjusted a single number by a fraction of a percent. And because of that, someone delayed buying a house, a startup paused hiring, a government added billions to its interest bill, and you, without realizing it, became slightly more careful with money today. That's the uncomfortable truth. One interest rate now controls millions of daily decisions, and most people don't even know how. This matters right now because we live in an economy that runs less on cash and more on promises. Promises to pay later, promises to roll over debt, promises that tomorrow will be a little easier than today. Interest rates decide whether those promises feel safe or terrifying. Let's start small, smaller than Wall Street, smaller than governments. Imagine a simple choice. You want to buy something today or you wait. That's it. That's the entire foundation of interest rates. If waiting has no cost, everyone waits. If waiting is expensive, everyone rushes. Interest is the price of time. When interest rates are low, time feels cheap. Borrowing feels harmless. I'll pay it back later sounds reasonable. When rates are high, time becomes expensive. Suddenly, later feels dangerous. Now, multiply that feeling across an entire country. A mortgage isn't just a house, it's a bet on the future cost of money. A business loan isn't just capital, it's confidence that future profits will outrun interest. Government debt isn't just accounting, it's faith that growth will outpace obligations. All of that rests on one number. Here's where it gets strange. Most people think interest rates affect borrowing. That's true, but that's the shallow effect. The deeper effect is psychology. When rates fall, people don't suddenly become smarter. They become braver. They expand. They take risks. Companies hire faster. Investors chase returns. Governments spend more comfortably. Mistakes get hidden because money is forgiving. When rates rise, nothing physically breaks at first. People just hesitate. Projects get delayed. Hiring freezes quietly. Consumers decide to wait one more month. Weak businesses don't die immediately, they just stop growing. The economy doesn't crash, it just stiffens. This is why interest rate changes feel slow and then sudden, because they don't hit everyone at once. Think of the economy like a room full of people standing on credit. Some are balanced on short-term loans, some are locked into long-term debt, some are sitting on cash. When rates change, the floor tilts, but everyone slides at a different speed. That delay is dangerous because it creates the illusion that nothing is happening. Now let's talk about the part no one likes to say out loud, the math. When rates go up by 1%, it sounds minor, almost polite, a rounding error. It's not. A 1% increase doesn't change payments by 1%. It changes the entire structure of debt. Take a 30-year mortgage. At low rates, most of your payment goes toward the house. At higher rates, more of your payment goes to interest, especially in the early years. The house doesn't get cheaper, time does. For governments, the math is brutal. They don't just pay off debt like households, they roll it over. Old debt matures, new debt replaces it, at current rates. So when rates rise, yesterday's promises get repriced, quietly, relentlessly. That's how a small rate increase turns into billions in extra costs without a single new program being passed. Here's the irony. Central banks raise rates to slow the economy, but governments often spend more to cushion the slowdown, which means issuing more debt at higher interest. It's like pressing the brake while the engine revs. And for a while, it works, until it doesn't. Now, zoom back to everyday life. When rates rise, it's not just loans that change, it's behavior. People stop asking, "Can I afford this?" They start asking, "What if something goes wrong?" That question alone reshapes the economy. Less spending, more saving, less risk-taking, more caution. That's why interest rates control decisions that don't look financial. Marriage timing, career moves, entrepreneurship, even where people live. Not because rates dictate choices directly, but because they set the emotional weather. Low rates feel like a long summer. High rates feel like an approaching winter. Now let's confront the hype. You'll often hear that raising rates fights inflation. as if inflation is a villain that can be punched into submission. Reality is messier. Rates don't fix broken supply chains. They don't create energy. They don't build houses. What they do is reduce demand by making life more expensive. They cool inflation by making people want less. That's effective and uncomfortable. It works by slowing growth before prices spiral, but it also risks slowing too much. Too low and everything overheats. Too high and things start snapping. And here's the part that rarely gets discussed. Interest rates don't affect everyone equally. People with assets benefit first when rates fall. People with debt suffer first when rates rise. Renters feel it differently than homeowners. Small businesses feel it faster than corporations. Young people feel it before retirees. So when we say the economy, we're really talking about millions of uneven experiences stitched together by one number. That's why rate decisions are never neutral, even when they're framed as technical. They redistribute pain and relief, quietly. Now, zoom out even further. When one country controls a major currency, its rate interest doesn't stay at home. Capital flows chase yield, money crosses borders. Entire economies feel the gravity. A rate change in one place can strengthen a currency, weaken another, pressure foreign debt, and reshape global trade flows, all from the same lever. This is why interest rates are so powerful and so dangerous. They're blunt tools used in a complex world. They move slow, they lag, they overshoot. And by the time the effects are obvious, the decision is already months old. Which brings us to the quiet risk. We've built a global system that assumes rates can always be adjusted gently, up a bit, down a bit, fine-tuned like a thermostat. But human behavior isn't linear. Confidence doesn't fade smoothly. It collapses. Spending doesn't slow evenly. It stops. When rates stay high long enough, the question changes again. Not can we grow, but who breaks first? The borrower, the business, the government, or the promise that tomorrow will be easier than today. That's why this one number matters so much. Because it doesn't just price money, it prices trust in the future. So the next time you hear about an interest rate decision, don't think about markets reacting or headlines moving. Think about millions of people pausing, recalculating, choosing safety over speed. And then ask yourself one uncomfortable question. If one number has this much control, what happens when it stops working the way we expect?